going to discuss how to create a time lapse from a series of still images that were taken over a period of days. So here we can see a petri dish which has presumably been photographed in 10 sequential days. So we want to put these images together into a movie. So to do that, we're going to use the software known as iMovie. And first we're going to find some photos to import. These are going to be the images. So we'll just drag those into our library. And then from there, we can drag those images and put them into our playlist here. So now we can see it's going through and it's growing over time. This one here is obviously out of order. So we can put this back probably over at this point. And actually that looks like it's probably the first one, so we'll move it over there. Now you may notice that when we play this, that it pans back and forth. This is the default Ken Burns effect. Very annoying in this case, but what we can do is we can just turn that off by selecting all of those as a shift click and going to the crop tool. When we go to the crop tool here, that this is showing you how the Ken Burns effect is working by default. We're going to just say fit, and then it removes the Ken Burns effect altogether. And so now when we go to play it, we will see that as it goes, transitions from one to another, you can see that the petri dish stays put, and you can see the change over time for the bacterial colonies. Now we want to be able to label that as well. So to do that, we're going to create a document here. This is a document that just has the labels that we want to include. And we want to put these labels into our movie. So first we can just do screen captures of portions of this text and make them all items that we can put as figures inside figures. So to do that, I'm going to do the Command Shift 4, that's a Mac command. And let's say I want to label some bacteria. So I highlight the term bacteria here, and then I click Enter, and it's going to create a screen capture just of that particular section. Now these screen captures by default are going to go onto your desktop. So when we look at the desktop here, we can see them that are taken right here. And so if you preview them, you're going to see, okay, that one's fungus, so I can rename that fungus. And then this one here is bacteria. And so if I wanted to now add these to my movie, I can take these and drag them onto the movie itself. So I'm going to go back to the iMovie, and here's my images here, and I want to put these now as text onto this. So if I wanted to identify a bacterial colony, I'll drag this over here, put it maybe where I want to label it, and as I do so, though, you're going to notice that again the Ken Burns effect is functioning here. Make sure you're clicked it as fit. And then what we want to do is we want to put this as a picture in a picture. So you click on the video overlay settings, and rather than using cutaway, you're going to use picture within picture. Now the bacteria is going to be as a picture within a picture, so if that's a bacterial colony, I can just aim it at that one right here. And then when I go to play that, you'll see that the term bacteria comes up. It points to that particular colony, and then it'll disappear whenever I remove or terminate that particular clip. So again, I can adjust that and give the exact time frame that I want to here. If I wanted to label something else, like let's say I was going to label some fungus and so forth as well, like mold, I will do the same thing. So I'll go back over here to my text. Let's say I'm going to add fungus here and do a screen capture of that particular section just highlighted. And now I can take the term fungus or the previous one that I had here. Either one is going to do fine. And I will drag that onto my iMovie. So let's go ahead and drag that here where I want to put it. Again, I'm going to change this to a picture within a picture. That's going to allow me to position it here by clicking on this, and then I can just reduce the size to whatever I want. And then I could label it appropriately. Again, you'll notice that, again, the default here is a Ken Burns effect, so you're going to click on that, make sure that that fit is on, otherwise it'll kind of scroll within the picture itself. Then if you go back over here, you can see what it's going to look like. You'll see that the term fungus is going to appear. Now obviously that's not where the fungus is. It's hard to tell right here exactly which is a fungal colony with this small thing, but I believe that this here down here is a fungal colony. So I'm going to click on the text here on that particular slide and then I can take it from here and move it down into that location. So you highlight that, make sure that it is set up as a picture in a picture, and then drag it down, and now I've labeled the fungus. And so now when we go back to play the movie, we can see as it's going to play right here, it's going to display here what's going on. As soon as it gets to this one here, you'll start to see that the bacteria pops up, shows a bacterial colony. Let's just advance the playhead a little bit farther, and now you can see where it says fungus right there. Now we can do all of the rest of the things we normally do with the iMovie or with any other kind of movie. We can add our regular titles, but the regular titles are restrictive in terms of what they can do. It's hard to label things with those, but they are just placed on top. So if I wanted to take like this one and just put it on the front here, I can, say bacterial growth and, type whatever I want here, days 1 to 10. And now notice that this is actually a text item. It's going to appear there, and then it's going to be different from the picture within a picture, which we have here, which allows us to label the images. Finally, we can add text to this, I should say audio. So I can add audio here, and wherever my playhead is, that's where it's going to start to record. So let's say I want it at this point, I will start to record and say, we can see the beginning of bacterial colonies here, the gray one right in the middle. And then as we proceed here, eventually you're going to start to see fungal colonies developing too, like rhizopus, bread mold is a very common one. You can see that labeled right here. Okay, so now we have our audio track juxtaposed with the images and the labeling. And we have a pretty nice beginning here for an instructional video. So at this point, we simply need to save it and post it and give it to our students. But again, it's a great opportunity for students to learn by developing movies like this. It's a good way for them to understand the content better by actually creating some kind of screenplay that illustrates the concept.